Okay, you may be seated.
From a distance, this world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, no diseases, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man, and God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just can't comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through this land. It's the hope of hopes. It's the love of loves. It's the heart of every man. And God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. Oh, God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us.
Lisa, and I'm going to be singing the song Bulletproof by Citizen Away. Alright. I used to live like I was under attack, dodging arrows from my past. I had no hope for tomorrow. Felt so much pressure, yes, I thought I would crash. But now there's no looking back. I'm moving forward, cause I know I got my armor now. No fear, no doubt, can shoot me down, yeah. I got my armor now. No fear, no doubt, gonna shoot me down, 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 down. Now I'm bulletproof because of you, because of you. I'm not afraid, no matter what the world may say or what they do. I am bulletproof because of you, because of you. I know you got this whole thing under control. My soul is untouchable because you've already won me. My victory is not in this flesh and bone, it's in the cross, and I know nobody's taking it from me. I got my armor now, no fear, no doubt can shoot me down. Yeah, I got my armor now, no fear, no doubt, gonna shoot me down, 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 down. Now I'm bulletproof because of you, because of you. And now I'm bulletproof because of you, because of you. Your love made a way, now I'm not afraid, no matter what the world may say or what they do. I am bulletproof because of you, because of you. And I don't have to fear no more, worry no more. I don't have to fear no more, worry no more.
So as I'm reading this to you, one of the things I want you to understand is that my preaching is all over the place. There are themes that are running through the book of Hebrews, and this text is just kind of gives us one of the themes, but it gets picked up and played with a lot. So I had that same reaction sometimes. Hebrews chapter 7, verses 11 through 17. Now, if perfection came through the Levitical priesthood, and it was on the basis of the Levitical priesthood that the people received the law, what further need were there to be for another priest to arise according to the order of Melchizedek, not one designated according to the order of Aaron? For when the priesthood is changed, of necessity there takes place also a change of law. For the one concerning whom these things are spoken belongs to another tribe, one which has no affiliation with the priesthood and with the altars. It is evident that our Lord Jesus was descended from Judah, a tribe with reference to which Moses said nothing about priests. This is clearer still if another priest arises according to the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become such not on the basis of a law of inheritance, but rather according to the power of an indestructible life, just as it is witnessed of him, thou art a priest, according to the order of Melchizedek. Do you know who Enoch is? Enoch? Does that name ring a bell? I can tell you that if you were into contemporary Christian apocalypticism, eschatology, contemporary Christian eschatology, so every generation looks around and goes, this world is so bad it's got to end soon. And then the next generation is like, this world is so bad it's got to end soon. And each generation thinks that if they could just go back to the way it was when they were little, that it would be fine, without recognizing that their parents were going, this world is so bad it's got to end soon. So that's how that is. I'm just saying that. That sense of this world is so bad it's got to end soon, and then what comes out of that is called eschatology, which is just a fun word to say. In contemporary Christian eschatology, the character of Enoch plays an important role. There's this vague reference in the book of Revelations to the appearance of two witnesses. And in modern Christian eschatology, in particularly it's modern Western Christian eschatology, so you don't find this same eschatological is a great way. That's another great word. You don't see the same eschatological interpretation going on in other parts of the Christian world, but it's very much a part of American evangelical Christianity. And so in the book of Revelation, there are two witnesses, and they said, who are these two witnesses? And somebody said, the two witnesses are Enoch and Elijah, two people who are not described in the Bible as having died. In the story of Elijah, we have Elijah taken up into what was described as a wheel within wheels. And in Genesis, we just get this. Enoch was the dad of Methuselah, and who is described in the Bible as the longest living human being. So if you say, I'm as old as Methuselah, that means you're really old. And his dad lived considerably less than about 40% of this age of Methuselah. But it says of Enoch that he was a friend of God, and then God took him, and he wasn't there anymore. So it's a really weird, normally it says people died. It says, and God took him, and he wasn't there anymore, So as a result, he now figures as this sort of important character in this apocalyptic worldview of the end of times. Now, the reason I mention this to you is because this is what happens when you have people about whom we have little information in the Bible. Then you can have a whole lot of fun with them because they can become more than they are. There's this guy named Melchizedek who's that way. So in the book of Genesis, we read a story. Lot is the nephew of Abraham. Lot gets taken captive by some local warlords. Abraham, who himself could be described as a warlord, gathers up his troops, and they have a rather spectacular victory. They rescue Lot, and on their return trip home, Abraham encounters a city called Salem. Salem. So this is a city that at some point later on is destroyed, and then it's built over it, and then that's destroyed and built over it. So you get layers. Archaeologists love this. It's like an onion. There are layers of these things. People keep building on the same locations. And the city of Salem later becomes Jerusalem, Jerusalem. So it's the same location. So they come by Salem, primordial Jerusalem, and the king is a guy named Melchizedek. But he is also not just the king, but he's also the priest. This is not uncommon in the ancient world, where the high priest is also the king. And so Melchizedek is the priest, and he names his deity El Elyon. He's the priest of El Elyon. El Elyon roughly translates to God Most High. Abraham understands God according to what we're told in the scriptures as El Shaddai. Oh, you hear the similarity, right? El Elyon, El Shaddai. So the El part means God. In the storytelling of this passage, the name Jehovah is used in the mouth of Abraham, but we're told in the book of Exodus that Abraham didn't know God by the name Jehovah, but only as El Shaddai. So Abraham recognizes that somehow El Elyon and El Shaddai are like the same. And so he gives a tithe to Melchizedek, acknowledging Melchizedek as, and Melchizedek's priesthood, I guess, to El Elyon. So he tithes to El Elyon. I know this seems like, okay, big deal, right? I know that look. I have that look too. I'm like, this is just like, who cares? But that's all we know about this guy. And all of a sudden, in Psalm 110, a psalm towards David, where it says, and Jehovah said to my Lord meaning the king, I'm going to put your enemies as a footstool under your feet. Behold, I am making you a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. So clearly, between the time of the writing of the book of Genesis and the stories about Melchizedek, a lot of stuff had been thought about Melchizedek. They'd already been spinning yarns about Melchizedek. Who is this guy? And by the time we get to the time of Jesus, and you start digging around in the Dead Sea Scrolls, you actually find, it's scroll 11Q3, I think? So anyway, it's from Cave 11, Qumran Cave 11. There's this scroll, the second column of the scroll is all about Melchizedek. And here Melchizedek is like an angel. He's actually described as being an angel who brings the year of Jubilee, the favorable year of the Lord, quoting from Isaiah. And he brings atonement to the people. You're reading the Gospels? And we find in the Gospels that Jesus is healing the sick, and it says this is that what might come true, what you know what the prophet said? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach good news to the poor and to proclaim the favorable year of the Lord. So this kind of way of thinking is floating out there. And Melchizedek has already been kind of connected to this idea of a apocalyptic eschatological figure who will be playing out in the last days some dramatic and important role. The Qumran community are a bunch of priests who were, apparently they believed that the guys in Jerusalem were doing it wrong, and they tried to get them to fix it, and the guys in Jerusalem said, we're not going to because we're the ones who are right and you're wrong. Either that or they said, calm down and get over yourselves, it's not that big a deal. Either way, they ran away into the desert. They said harumph. They established their own community, and they were waiting for God to send the Messiah. And this is important. They were actually waiting for two Messiahs. One Messiah was to be a kingly Messiah to establish the kingdom. The other would be a priestly Messiah, a high priest, a direct descendant of Aaron. All priests are directly descended from Aaron. This is important for you to understand. All priests directly descend from Aaron in Jewish tradition. Anybody with the name Cohen or Cohen or Kohen, you meet any person who's Jewish and their last name is Cohen, Cohen, or Cohen, something like that, that name means direct descendant, straight line from Aaron, the brother of Moses, the first priest of Jehovah. Just thought I'd tell you that. So, they're waiting for a priest who's from Aaron and a king who's from the line of David. So you have a kingly and a priestly Messiah, and they're going to come and set things right. And they, as priests, renegade priests in the desert, they've decided that they're going to have everything ready. So when finally the Messianic priest arrives to set things right, they're ready to jump right in and get things going correctly, which is why they were celibate. It's very unusual for a group like that, for Jews to have celibacy as a lifestyle. For them, it would be for a period of time. Like if the priest had it, I'm on duty for the next week, that priest would be celibate. But to just be celibate all the time, that's not a very Jewish point of view, except when you're expecting any day now, the priest and Messiah could come and reestablish the temple. We have to be ready because we don't know when that it is. We have to be ritually pure 24/7 so we don't get caught off guard. This sounds a lot like what Jesus says about the bridesmaids and their lamps. The foolish ones don't put oil in their lamps because they're expecting a daytime wedding, so they don't need to light their lamps. The wise ones are ready for whenever the bride or whenever the groom arrives. And that it's that sense of you don't know when it's coming. You got to be ready. So they're ready. These priests are ready. We're ready. We've got it all together. We're ready. Whenever it comes. And then the temple is destroyed. And all of their hopes are dashed. Now here I'm making an assumption, which is the book of Hebrews is written after the destruction of the temple. Not necessarily to people who are part of the Qumran community, but at least to people who kind of in that same mind frame. The temple is gone. What happens to the priesthood? And so what the author of the book of Hebrews does is he does this really interesting thing. He says, he takes this eschatological figure. Gosh, I like that word. Eschatological. He takes this figure from that's part of this image of how the last days is going to go, and he says, you've been waiting for two messiahs. You're wrong. There's only one. But the one Messiah is, in fact, like Melchizedek, both king and priest. Oh. And here's where it gets interesting, because you do understand, you've ever heard this saying, in the beginning God created human beings in God's image and in God's likeness, and ever since then human beings have been returning the favor? Yeah, let me put this in the nice way. There's a Christmas song that goes, some children see him, lily white, the baby Jesus born tonight. Some children see him lily white with tresses soft and fair. But some children see him bronzed and brown, the Lord of heaven from to earth come down. Some children see him bronzed and brown with dark and heavy hair. all children in each different place will see the baby Jesus' face like theirs, but soft with heavenly grace and filled with holy light. Isn't that sweet? It's actually a really pretty song. It's very sweet. That's the nice way to put it. Here's the not nice way to put it. When we read the Bible, right, you read the New Testament, if you're a liberal, Jesus sounds like a liberal. And if you're a conservative, Jesus sounds like a conservative, because what we inevitably do is we create Jesus in our own image. And then when we meet him face to face, he ain't that. And suddenly that puts the lie to all of those things we thought, because we find out we were wrong. We hate being wrong. Being right's the most important thing to us. It's almost like a matter of life and death to be right. And so these priests, these people with this sense of the impending arrival of Messiah, they're ready for the priest to set things right. They're working really hard so that they can jump right into the doing their stuff, doing the running the priestly thing, making the sacrifices. And they find out first, Jesus isn't what they were expecting. I mean, he is exactly what they were expecting. You wanted a king and you wanted a priest, you got him. That's him. Exactly what they're expecting. He offers himself as sacrifice. That's the cross. And on top of the cross, it even says he's the king. Right there, priest and king and sacrifice. Priest and king and sacrifice. And it's that third one that throws everything off, because if he's priest and king, okay, all I got to do is take my two images and merge them into one. But if he's also sacrificed, that means that all of the temple stuff is gone. And that all of the work in the temple was only temporary anyway. It was just a shadow of something else. And now the real has arrived and the shadow has passed away, because the shadow itself was just, it was, as the Buddhists say, a finger pointing to the moon. But if your life is invested in that, that's not fun. You don't want that to happen. And when I think about that, because, what is my job? Telling people about God, saying, know the Lord. You know what it says in the book of Isaiah? In that day, there will be no need for someone to say to another, come, know the Lord, because they'll already know the Lord. In other words, I'm going to be out of a job. Right? When Jesus comes, I'm going to be out of a job. And it will turn out that everything that I was up to disappears, poof, like that. And to make matters worse, a lot of the stuff that I invested lots of time and lots of effort in, I'm going to get there, and first after I get over my shock that he doesn't look like anything like I expected, and that he doesn't share my political opinions, once I get there and get over my shock, and then I am not going to hear Jesus say, good job keeping the lights on in those churches. Right? You did a great job running those meetings. It's never going to be said. Right? Which means that there's a sense in which when he appears, it shows that a lot of the stuff I've done with my life has really been kind of unnecessary and maybe even a bit of a waste. And that's a problem. That does not feel good. He's not what I'm expecting. He's not what I'm looking for. And his appearance shows that a lot of the stuff I've been chasing after has been the wrong stuff in the first place. But then on the other hand, he's exactly what I've needed. He's exactly the one I've been longing for. He's exactly the one I've been seeking, even though I haven't been chasing him. I've been off here running after rabbits. He's the one. And so you can understand that in my point of view, right? But you can also understand it from their point of view. These guys were getting ready for when the temple was restored. They were all set to go running in to Jerusalem and say, we've got everything. We've got the purified vessels. We've got trained people who can do this. We've been practicing for this. All right, men, remember your training. Let's go. Right? They're ready for this moment. And the moment isn't. Everything that they'd been doing in preparation, poof, gone. And yet the Jesus who comes to them, the Messiah who comes to them, is exactly who they've been talking about, just not who they were picturing. Can you find the prayer response? Well, let's pray that together. You are everything I have hoped for and nothing I have wanted. You are just what I needed, but not what I was asking for. You are the one I have sought, but not the one I was pursuing. You, Lord Jesus, are both the great disappointment and the eternal fulfillment of my life's effort. You are disappointment because you expose the banality of my work, the futility of my toils. You are fulfillment because you are the goal toward whom I move, the one moving in me to find and be found in you. You are my all in all, Lord Jesus, my destiny and my deepest longing of my heart. Amen.
Jesus, Jesus, when will we be one? How far yet to go? Jesus, Jesus, when will we be one? Can we choose love and not say no? Jesus, Jesus, when will we know peace? How much more on peace? Jesus, Jesus, when will we know peace? Help us to set aside our fears. Jesus, Jesus, when will we be free? How soon standing tall? Jesus, Jesus, when will we be free? Be here to lift us when we fall. Jesus, Jesus, guide us in the way. How long without sight? Jesus, Jesus, guide us in the way. Come now and fill us with your light. Jesus, Jesus, when will